Elden Ring, much like Cyberpunk 2077, is an insanely hyped up game that now seems to be suffering from major performance issues, despite it being critically acclaimed and by all accounts, otherwise a 10 out of 10. Hey there, I'm Rob Glob and you're watching Higher Level Gaming. Elden Ring has some serious issues on PC. Digital Foundry has now said that the PC performance of the game simply isn't good enough. Some Xbox players have reportedly not been able to get the online functionality to work at all. Even on PlayStation, it's recommended that the PS4 version is played instead of the PS5, even if you have a PS5, just because performance is so bad. And in fact, playing with the PS4 version on PS5 is the only way to maintain a smooth 60 FPS performance. These issues are to the extent that despite holding a lofty 95 Metacritic score, the Steam reviews are mixed with only 60% positive, while the game has seen over 700,000 concurrent players on Steam, which by the way is over 6 times as many as Dark Souls 3 had. That's a whole lot of performance issues. It's really a damn shame that no reviewers mentioned this, and I want to specifically call out the publications that were untruthfully representing the game, as they have made no statements regarding these issues. Mitchell Saltzman at IGN gave Elden Ring on PC a 10 out of 10 masterpiece score. I just can't imagine that they didn't experience any issues at IGN. This is a quote from Digital Foundry. Even running the game at 720p with the lowest settings didn't give me a smooth experience. Note, this person is running an Core i9-10900K and an RTX 3090. That is like top of the line hardware. It gets worse the less capable your PC is, particularly on the CPU side. On more mainstream hardware, I noticed that in addition to stutter, there's slowdown to contend with, adding to the game's woes. We've also played the game on Steam Deck, where the stuttering effect causes even more prolonged slowdown. Its issues are numerous, but most egregious of all is the persistent stuttering that ruins the flow of the game. It's a genuinely poor presentation that needs to be addressed urgently. So somehow, despite playing with the best hardware out there, Digital Foundry, no matter what they did, encountered performance issues. Yet, Mitchell Saltzman at IGN had no issues to mention at all in his review. Tamur Hussein also gave the game on PC a 10, despite it still being in process, mentioning a lot of things that are good with the game, and suspiciously not mentioning performance issues whatsoever under the bad. VG247 did mention the performance issues, but still gave the game a 5 out of 5, which I feel like is a little dishonest, but I can at least respect that they mentioned the problem and were honest that it is an issue, despite their score not at all reflecting that. Gaming Bolt, on the other hand, did knock a point off for the PC performance issues, which I honestly think is the most reasonable response to all these problems. Clearly, the game is still a masterpiece. It's clearly an amazing game, possibly one of the best games of all time. But it's also clear that it was not completely ready to launch. Some users like Poob here says that the game is in a playable state, kinda, but you should still wait to get it, even though they gave it a positive review. But most of the people having issues have given it a thumbs down. Now, some of that isn't just because of the performance issues, but also lack of ultra-wide support. If you have an ultra-wide monitor and this game doesn't support it, I imagine that makes it pretty hard to play. But most of the complaints are just about the performance. This person said besides stuttering, they also experience slow rendering, the screen going black sometimes, lighting glitches, etc. This person also has really good hardware, 3080 Ti, 32 gigabytes of RAM, SSD 9700K. This game is Stutter City, makes me nauseous, frequently in both open world and small cave systems. This person says don't waste your time and frustrations with trying suggested fixes. The vast majority presented here are circulating around with not having an effect. Driver level settings will not have an effect because it's DirectX 12 implementation. They go on to give a full explanation of how all that works. Fletcher says, for only $60, you can get to be an angry customer on a waiting list for updates that won't solve your issues. This crap really needs to be illegal. Impressive game, really fun, by far one of the best Souls-likes I've ever played. Unfortunately, the frame rate issues really make it unbearable to play on PC, even in low settings, and my rig isn't even that bad. This guy says runs like dog poop, even on low settings. Will update my review as soon as the performance is fixed. The combat doesn't feel great, something is off about the roll, but I can't place it. So these are more gameplay complaints, but I wouldn't be surprised if the roll mechanics are being affected by issues. This guy says, I played for about 2 hours, my frame rate got destroyed, the enemies were invisible. This person says, after half an hour trying to work out controls on PC as everything is set up for console, I gave up. This one was refunded. Yeah, they need to really... I hate it when games put a game on PC, but it's obviously not been set up right. Like, they'll still show you the console controls or the console commands for controller. Menus will just not be right for PC. That's a complaint that I've heard from a few people. This guy said, I did not have fun with this NVIDIA settings simulator. Would be great if I could see the enemies, but I can't 99% of the time. Nice. Bleep this bleep. Bad PC port, can't play. Cannot recommend in its current state. I have a glitch where the enemies aren't visible. Honestly, just disappointed. The same game as Dark Souls. I was expecting something different, but it's literally the same game. Honestly, if you don't like Dark Souls games, I don't even know why you would buy this game. Unfortunately, leaving a negative review due to terrible game coding and bad production ethics. Hopefully gets patched. Don't play multiplayer and don't play it on PC with mouse and keyboard. Game's not made for us, lads. See, the thing is, Dark Souls is not, like, these games are not made for mouse and keyboard. They're definitely made to be played with a controller. And I've played Dark Souls both on mouse and keyboard and with controller. And if you really love playing with mouse and keyboard, then you can enjoy it, because I might say I preferred it that way just because it was a little more challenging doing it with mouse and keyboard, and because I just prefer mouse and keyboard. I just feel more immersed, or I don't know, I just prefer the tactile feeling. But it's definitely not easy and it's not user friendly. But the question you have to ask yourself is, as a customer, as a gamer, is it still worth it to buy Elden Ring? Let's talk about on PC. Firstly, Steam reviewers have posted good instructions on how to fix or improve conditions. That means that you might be able to tweak things and get a good experience, especially if you have high-end hardware, but your mileage may vary. And like that other comment said, some of these things might not help at all, maybe none of it. Secondly, it seems that some people aren't experiencing the problems, or those problems aren't enough of a deterrent for them to think it's not worth it to play this game. And beyond that, people still think this is the greatest game ever, even though it has those issues. Lastly, further patches, possibly driver updates, etc. could soon remedy these issues, so it might not be a major problem for long. But that could be a reason to wait to buy it, if you think about it. Most importantly though, there's the FOMO factor. This is a social experience. You'll have a lot of people who are memeing about the game online, discussing it, and playing with their friends in insane numbers. So you could argue that this is the best time to play Elden Ring for that reason alone. If you want to be a part of the hype, maybe it's better not to wait for performance improvements, as by everything we've heard, there is an incredible game underneath these issues. The game is critically acclaimed besides the performance issues, so this isn't a criticism of Elden Ring really, or the gameplay, or the story, or the art design, but it is unfortunate that such a highly publicized and well-funded project didn't release in working order. I mean, that's pretty sad, despite it being completely normal nowadays in gaming. Especially for long-running fans of the series, such as myself. Dark Souls is my favorite game, and I've beaten every single one of From Software's games. I can't get enough of their content, but I still think I might wait just so that I can experience the game as was truly intended, without stuttering. What do you think? Have you noticed the issues if you're playing Elden Ring on PC? Are you going to try to play the game despite all these problems? Or are you going to try to wait it out like I might do? Whatever the case, I'd love to hear from you down in the comments. You can also give this video a like or subscribe to Higher Level Gaming to always see when we post videos like this one. We also make a lot of videos about political issues in gaming in case you're into that kind of content. But above all else, have a nice day, and don't forget to go play some video games.